Hi everyone. Today we are going to go through installing the new YoraHome Z-Axis. This is what you should have received in the mail, and some longer spacers. Yours are probably white, mine are black, just for demonstration purposes to show you these. And then 4 longer bolts, and then an Allen wrench. And we're going to go through changing this unit out and basically show you the different options and on how to do it. It's actually pretty easy. Like I said before, this mount is pretty versatile. It'll work for pretty much almost any laser. The plate on the front of it has been customized, and I know it has different holes, different features on it that for multiple different types of setups. It will work with all of the 15-watt lasers, 3-watt, 5-watt, 40-watt lasers. Has mounting holes to compensate for any of that stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to need to do is to remove this chassis here, or the gantry. So let me move the camera around. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is you have 2 bolts here on this side and then on the other side. And then you also have a little screw holder here that holds secures the belt in place right here. And so we're going to take this off, and then the belt will come out. And then we're also going to take these 2 screws out on this side. You can see this here. Take these 2 screws out, and then on the other side, we're going to take the bottom one on the other side, but we're only going to loosen the top about halfway. That's it. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to back this camera up just a little bit here. Okay, sorry, I had a little camera difficulty. So first thing we're going to do now is we're going to take these bolts here. I'm going to take the bottom one out. You just got to kind of do it all the same. You got to be careful because this is going to drop down and you don't want it to fall. I'm going to take this side out over here. Like I said, you're going to take the bottom bolt out over here by the motor, and you're going to loosen the top one about halfway. So the bottom's out, and before I loosen it, let me take this here, this belt holder here, and like I said, just kind of loosen it, turn it, and then it's going to come right out. As you can see, get that out. And then I'm going to loosen this side, like I said, the top about halfway. Now make sure you hold your gantry here, because if you don't, this whole thing is the whole head's gonna tilt. So as soon as I loosen this, see, it's gonna actually roll like this, and you don't want it to roll forward. So like I said, the other side, see how much I have it, maybe about halfway, just have the other bolt out, and I'll show you why right now, because if you don't let this go, because it's gonna fall, but we're gonna wanna raise it just enough to pull that out, and if you don't loosen the other side, it could crack the acrylic. So make sure your belt is loose here. You took that piece off, and just kind of lift it up. If you start to lift it up and it feels like it's hard to come up, then loosen the bolt on the other side a little bit more. But so there it is, and you just slide it right off, and it will roll right off. The belt will come right out, and then go ahead and set that down. Now what I recommend is just putting a bolt back in, just to hold this in place, because you don't want it flopping around and then accidentally falling and busting the acrylic. So let me go ahead and move this machine out of the way. I only have a small table here. And let's go ahead and start working on this here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this plate. I'm actually going to try and zoom in a little bit more here. Okay. Alright, move these out of the way. Make sure your area is nice and set. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this front plate off, and this is going to take its place like that. And most importantly is there are 2 spacers here. These spacers towards the laser are going to be replaced with the longer white ones that you received. Not the ones towards the motor, towards the laser. So remember, towards the front. And I'm going to show you that now. So let's just go ahead and take this old laser apart, or the old Z-axis apart here. Where's my wrench at here? Pretty easy, it's just 4 bolts. Again, take the bolts out and put the bolts aside and the nuts if you want, and maybe 1 washer. There we go. If you want to do a good rule of thumb, take the bolt you took out with 1 washer and then put the nut back on it. And these are going to be spare parts now. So hang on to them. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one that I just did so we stay organized. I like to keep it organized and not have a mess. I'm going to just put them over here. So those are not going to be used anymore. Same thing, flip this over. Just be very careful with it. Especially when you get down to 1 screw, it's going to be very floppy. So just be very careful. I actually think I'm going to move this camera just a little bit so you can see a little better here. I don't know if that's a little better for you to see or not, maybe. Move this way some. Right there. There we go. So let's get this last one. Sort of make sure you can see really well what I'm doing here. Again, be very careful when you get down to this last one because it's going to be floppy. Nut off, take the motor off, set that aside, and then take this, again, take one of the spacers with the bolt and the nut, and again, these are spare parts because they're going to be replaced with the ones that you have. Actually, not the nut, I believe you're going to be using the nut on it. Okay, well, I actually said that incorrectly. We are going to be using the nuts. You got longer bolts, and we're going to be using the nuts with the new bolts. Sorry about that. So, starting over, you have the sleeve and the bolt are going to be spare. 1 sleeve, 1 bolt over here. And now we have the nuts here. Okay, so I'm going to take my laser off. This one here. And it doesn't matter how you had your laser on there, whether it was old one or the new one, they're all going to be different on the new plate. So, more spare part, put the laser over here. So now, what we're going to do is, let's go ahead and take the front plate off of this, and we will put our laser on it. Well, on the plate rather. There's 4 screws here, and I'll show you in a second here. There are nuts inside the acrylic here, so be careful they don't go flying out. Fortunately mine are pretty secure in there, so I don't know if yours will be or not, but you just don't want them, to lose them. Just hold your finger underneath them or something like that. So the laser, as you can see, will mount. What you're going to want to do is the 2 rectangles are going to go towards the top of the laser, and you want to mount your laser, whatever laser you have, so that it is flush. So if you can see that right, you want it flush right here to the green chassis here. So mine's going to look like that. It's going to be flush, and you're basically, whoops, let's put those aside. Let's not mix our screws up. The longer ones go on the top here. I have 2 more. Okay, so if you have like the old 15 watt, same thing. You know, there's different holes or different screws or different lengths here for you to mount whatever you want on it. In this case, for the older one, maybe you can do, let's just say hypothetically, the top two, we'll put them in the top of the laser here, if I can get it in there. Sorry. Come on. Here we go. And then they would just slip into the slot there, slide down, and then again, you're going to want to move that laser up till it's flush, and then you could put the other screws in down there. So as you can see, it'll, even though it's not the full length there, it's okay, tighten it. Just don't over tighten it because you don't want it to crack the acrylic. But so as you can see, it's adjustable for, you know, just about pretty much any laser. But I'm going to put the 40 watt back on. And in this case, I don't know if I put them in the right one. No, I put them in the wrong one. If you put all of the screws on the 40 watt in, you will see that it will match right up. Most of the newer lasers are going to match right up to this. If you have 4 in there, they're going to line up with those 4 holes. As you can see, it lines right up, and then you slide it down. When you slide it down, it actually should be flush with it. It should be set right up just the way you want it. So then, just tighten them down. Again, don't over tighten them because you will crack the acrylic. I like going across. It's just my thing. And then just give them a little snug. And that's it. That's all it is to mount it on there. Of course, the top 4 holes are going to be for mounting it onto the Z-axis. So let's go ahead and put this together. It's going to be a little easier to put it together without having this on it. And again, you can ride this up and down. This top one here, yours is probably more stable, but so let's go ahead and put the wheels on here, and I'm going to move the camera one more time. Okay, so let's go ahead and reassemble now. We've got the Z-axis here. You've got your laser mounted on your plate. This is the motor, the stepper motor. And here, so basically what you're looking at is, let's see if I can do this, your direction is here, is see the nut here on the top, your adjuster knob at the top, and the motor's going to be the top, and that's how it's going to go back together pretty much just like that. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to remember I said about the long sleeves. The longer sleeves are going to go on, going to go towards the front. Remember, the longer sleeves are going towards the Z-axis. These happen to be my bolts that I had for my testing here for the instruction video. So let's start with this. So basically, we're going to have to scroll this down. You may have to adjust that down so that you can get to any of the screws or that you want to get to, or up and down rather, sorry. I'm going to move mine around so that I can get to the holes. And what we're going to do is I like put it in, and then remember the longer one goes first. That's closest, it's going to sit right up against your Z-axis. That's really, really important. And then the wheel, and then the smaller one, and then the motor mount, the back motor mount. So my screw is a little bit long, just ignore that. And so let's put that on there, just so it's snug. And I'm going to go ahead and put another one on this side before I tighten that. And you may have to, again, slide that up and down. This in the hole, you can see that. And don't forget, the longer one goes on first, closest right up against the Z-axis, the adjustable Z-axis. And then a smaller sleeve, and then through the hole, and then another nut. And, oops, I got a magnetic screwdriver. Now, your bolts, you'll be using the Allen wrench that came with it, which is fine. You know, this is, again, this is an instructional video, so I'm going to tighten these down, but not like really, really tight, just a little bit, so that it's not flopping everywhere. I would recommend just tighten down, but don't tighten it really tight because you have to still put the other sides on. So, as you can see, they're just tightened down. There's a little bit of play there. So you flip it over, and let's do the same thing on this side. The bolt, the longer sleeve goes right up against the Z-axis, or the front of the Z-axis, sorry. And then that, put it in the hole there, and then put a bolt. And where's it? This here, slide this down, the longer sleeve, and the wheel, and the smaller piece, slide through, and then put the bolt on, as you can see. I'll go ahead and snug that down. At this point, you can go ahead and tighten them down. Just do not over tighten. Anything you do with the acrylic, don't over tighten. Once it's snug, you're fine. If you over tighten it, you're just going to crack it. And we have a lot of that, believe it or not. Same thing here. My screws are a little longer than yours, so don't mind me. So I'm going to go ahead and snug these down. Yeah. Sorry, you probably don't have to go through all of this with the screwdriver and the wrench, but yours, you're going to be using your the nut driver, and if you have a little wrench to hold on the back there. And this one is a little tighter. Okay, almost there, and there. Okay, so this is what I have. You've got the Z-axis, the manual up and down here. Directly behind it, you have the longer sleeves, and then you have your wheel, and then the white smaller sleeve, and then the nut. Make sure that your wheels spin freely. It's really important. So you double check your work before you put it all together and it not work. So there is that. And we can put the laser on there now. I mean, if you want, let's do it. So this pretty much is easy. Like I said, mine, the little nuts in here are, they're stuck in there, so that's just great. If it's not, you got to kind of slide them up in there and then hold your finger while you put the nut on there. I've actually put a little piece of tape there to hold it, and it has helped me a lot. But so let's slide this up, and the two rectangles right there are going to go right on top of these right here, and just got to kind of line them up. No big deal. Maybe line the top one up till it falls in, and slide the bottom until it drops. You have to turn sideways in there. Mine's in there now. And then all we're going to do now is we're going to put the 4 screws in here. Now again, if for some reason yours won't go in there, if you put it in there now, it'll actually sit there for a minute until you know, to get that in there. So you may have to hold your finger or something, but that's pretty much it. Again, I just like going across. Put these in. Oops. If they give you any problem putting them in, then, you know, take it back off and make sure that the nuts are seated correctly. And then just snug them down a little bit, nothing major. There's really not crazy movement on the laser, so. And that is it right there. So you have the stepper motor on the top. You've got this here. This is going to slide up and down, turning it. It's good. A couple things you want to just make. We'll just put it all the way back up for when we put it together. Double check, make sure that you're flush here, which should have already done that before we actually put it on there. Everything's good, nothing's loose, the wheels are turning fine, everything's good. That's what you want right there is your final. And again, your laser will be whatever the laser you have on here will be mounted on there, and it's all secure. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here, and I'm going to grab the machine and flash right back to you. Okay, now that we have the machine back up here, we've got your belt here, and remember we put the bolt back in this side, and there's one at the top over here, so it's going to tilt. So we want to make sure that you got to keep this stable because you don't want it to break. And pretty much what we're going to do is, I would say at this point, just maybe pull your belt backwards is fine, and then we're going to slide the new Z-axis assembly right back on the rail, and then we're going to put the bolts in. So basically, you're going to want to keep it secure on here. And then slides right on there. As you can see, it rolls right. It should be very snug. And don't let it go, whatever you do. Because right now, if you let it go, it will absolutely fall forward. And you don't want to do that. So put the top one, the bottom one in. And that's going to hold it pretty secure. Make sure it's in there really good. Now it won't go anywhere. And then put this bolt on this side back in. And go ahead and snug all 4 of them down. And then these here. Okay. So now make sure that it rides nicely, very smooth. Everybody knows. And so basically, to do the belt, it's kind of like when you first built the machine. So it's pretty easy. See if I can show you here. I like to just kind of put it underneath of the wheel. See, I just slid it underneath of there, if you can see it. But my way of doing it is put it under there, and then when it comes out over here, I just use it and push it up. It actually bubbles up in the middle here, right here, it bubbles up, and then I just pull it up, and then slide it this way a little bit, and then put it back down in the groove, and then slide it back. Whoops, slide it backwards, and as you can see, it comes right in, just like that. Kind of pull it snug, and that's it. Very easy. Don't have to do it that way. However you feel it's easier to do it. It just has to be in there. Has to be over the motor, just like it was before, over the stepper motor. And now we're going to put this little piece in, and we're going to turn it sideways. Yeah, sometimes it's easier to do it with taking this off, but just turn sideways, just kind of finagle it, slide it over. Now what I like to do is get another tool and just kind of like, that's a smaller one, push down on the belt and push it towards me so it pulls it tight. And then kind of once it pulls it tight, then go ahead and tighten this on. And kind of push on the belt a little bit to make sure there's tension, there's good tension there, and very good. And then does it still slide good? Yes, it does. I think I need new wheels. wearing it out. I have to get another machine. So that's pretty much that. Let me just double check that. Now, before you move forward, I am a fanatic about making sure everything's right. You did tighten these down on both sides. That's really important. You got this down. Your belt it has tension on it. Definitely. It all slides. Good. And the Z-axis does go up and down. And it is tight, the whole thing. Nothing's rattling and moving around. So everything's good. And you know, while you're at it, you might as well slide. Whoops, sorry. You might as well slide this to make sure everything's good. And one thing I want to show you is my machine in particular, the rod here is on the front. And technically the instructions say you should be on the back. And yours is most likely on the back. However, on the parts over here, on this side, I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to move my machine so you can see it. And this is why the longer ones are important. There's 2 screws here for the drag chain. If you have a drag chain, your gantry here will be back over here because your drag chain is stuck on here. And that's why we need, if you have your machine put together not correctly like mine, you will see that this rod here, or the bar going across, will actually hit the new Z-axis. So that's why it's important that the longer spacers are at the front, because it keeps it out away from the bar going across. Now, if you're using this for your machine, you don't have that, no problem. If it's a different machine, whatever works for you, they're included for pretty much every application. So that's pretty much it. Again, make sure everything's working good. You can go ahead and connect the wires back up, and you should be good to go. So I think that is it. Jungle.